There are just 99 days left until the 2020 presidential election. Joining us now to discuss that is Yahoo Finance senior columnist Rick Newman. Rick, I can't believe it's only 99 days, but in the latest polls from CNN, Joe Biden is leading President Trump in the state of Florida. That has to be a big red flag for Trump's inner circle.
Has to be. And let me just point out, 99 days until election day, not necessarily 99 days until we know who wins, because we're going to have a lot more mail-in voting this time around, and that could take a little while to count. So people should be prepared for that. But to go back to the polls, all the polls are moving in Biden's favor. He's pulling ahead in swing states. You mentioned Florida. He's even close with Trump in Texas, which has voted for Republicans for most of the last several presidential elections. So, I mean, I don't think it's a mystery why this is happening. The coronavirus is still ravaging the country. The economy is still in a recession, and Trump has not been viewed as effective. His approval rating on handling of this crisis is in the low 30% range. So it's showing up in the polls. None of this, of course, means Biden is a shoo-in. Everybody remembers the polls were wrong in 2016. So that doesn't mean Biden's going to win this time, but clearly trouble for Trump.
What about this stimulus bill, right? That's making its way through Congress right now, Rick. What if that hits? Unemployment benefits are extended. Americans get another $1,200 check. Does that change the scenario for Trump? And could things start to swing his way as we move closer to November 3rd?
I think the thing that could possibly swing this back in Trump's favor is a real improvement in the economy, which means getting the virus under control in places where it is not under control and finding a way to reopen businesses for good, not just reopen them, throw caution to the wind, and then have to close them again in a couple of months. The economic data does not look like that's happening, though. I mean, we are possibly heading toward a double dip recession based on the data that's coming in now. This stimulus plan, Trump needs this. He must have this at a bare minimum. But I don't think that in itself is going to, convince voters that, oh, the government sent me a check because the economy's terrible, therefore I should vote for Trump. His approval rating has been falling all through this crisis, including through the first round of stimulus, or the first several rounds of stimulus, I guess I should say. So I'm not sure it's going to help him this time around.
Rick, do you think sentiment or the president's poll numbers start to turn just a bit as he's turned, suggesting people should in fact wear a mask? His coronavirus conferences have been subdued, at least by his standards.
They have been during the last week when he's done a few of those new conferences. I mean, could Trump possibly change? I mean, could he possibly change his demeanor and become more unifying and less divisive? And actually perhaps change policies, federal policies, so that we get a more aggressive federal response that actually seems to make a difference? I don't think he can. I could be wrong about this. For Trump to change means it's a tacit admission that he was wrong in the past. And we know that that's just not how he rolls. So I don't think, one thing we've seen Trump do over and over is he just goes back to his basic strategy, which is excite the base, excite the base, excite the base. And when he does that, he alienates independents and moderates who might otherwise vote for him and are trending toward Biden. So I think Trump, he is stuck with that strategy all along. He's still saying we should keep the military bases named for Confederate generals, for example. I just don't think he's going to change.
What about if things change with regards to a vaccine? We had Moderna's CEO on the previous hour talking about how their vaccine is going into phase 3 trial, that perhaps we could have something on the market. That CEO was saying maybe by November. That may come too late for Trump and the election, but could that change things for him?
I think it could if it comes soon enough, but I think it's kind of a Hail Mary pass. Because it's just even if we have a vaccine that seems to work by, let's say, late October or November in time for the election, it's not going to be distributed. So it will not be out there providing immunity to people so we can get businesses reopened. So I guess voters could say, oh, finally, we got something that's going to be helping us in 2021, and therefore that improves my impression of Trump. But I think Trump also has another risk, which is that if he is telling people that things are better than they really are, voters are not that dumb. They will punish a president who tells them, no, you're wrong. Things are not as bad around you as they seem. That happened to Obama in 2014. He got crushed in the midterm elections. He called it a shellacking, and Trump should learn that lesson. Don't tell voters things are fine if things are not fine.
Rick, how do you think the Trump administration is setting the path to get even more aggressive on China in the lead up to the election? And what do you think that means to the markets?
I think probably so. But I mean, Trump cannot afford a meltdown with China. What he needs to do, I mean, this is basically posturing at this point. He needs to demonstrate that he's tough on China. And I think he can kind of check that box. I think we're clearly seeing a deteriorating relationship with China. But I think both countries recognize that they don't want this to go so far that you really cut off trade between the two countries, that U.S. businesses have to start pulling out of China or doing something like that. So I think, everything Trump is doing right now is trying to make a case to voters. And I think he wants to flex his muscles, but he doesn't want to get in any more of a brawl with China. So I think for now, markets will probably be okay on that. If Trump wins, different question. And this is one area where Biden might actually be better for markets, because he probably would be somehow more stable toward China and re-engage with allies and cause fewer market jitters. But we'll see about that.
I think you got him beat on the muscles department. Rick Newman, always good to see you. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye, guys.